So I'm very, very happy to be here, especially with you, young ladies, because I know that I have made some choices and I have gotten some places because of people that helped me along the way since a very young age. So I'm very, very happy to see that you have these amazing women here to support each other, and we support each other. It's not this way, like vertical, these people help these people, no. We all help each other because one day we are here and one day we are here. And that's how the world really works. So that's why I'm very excited, and it's inspiring to me too, because let me start in the middle of the story. How long have you been here? For a long time? Some of you maybe were born here, more than 10 years in the area, or less than that?
Born here,
living here, or
yeah.
Less than 10, more than 10?
No, I've lived here 13 years.
13?
But I moved a lot around the country, so.
You have moved.
But I always come back.
Ah, okay. And the reason I'm asking that specific question is because you have been a little more than 9-10 years, you may have seen me on television. I came to live here in Tampa Bay 20 years ago, 1998. And I had the opportunity to create the first newscast in Spanish at Univision. At that time, now you have Telemundo, Univision, you have many, and I don't know if you watch it in Spanish or in English, but at that time, we didn't have any news in Spanish. You might remember, right? So I had this opportunity to start the newscast, and until then, I had been a reporter. In Colombia, I was a television reporter, and I loved doing my job. And when I had the opportunity to create the first newscast at Univision here in Tampa Bay, and being the news director and the anchor, I faced one of these decisions of, okay, I love reporting and writing, but now I have to take this job doing the other part, which is budgeting, hiring, firing, babysitting, all those other things that I don't like and I didn't even know. But sometimes in life we get one position that we love, but it comes with these other things. And at that time, I was learning English. I didn't know any English when I moved here 20 years ago. So, and I was already, let me just give the age. So I learned English at 30, which is late to learn a second language, not because we can, but it's a little more difficult. 30, 40, 50, it doesn't matter. After 20, so you guys can learn another one really fast, Mandarin or German. It is a little more difficult. So at that time, my focus was to learn English, but the opportunity came because we don't have a newscast, you are a journalist, we needed you, they're here. And I'm like, okay. So I started learning English at night, and I became the news director. And despite that, I said yes. So I was doing the news live every single day. Buenas noches, les saluda María del Pilar Ortiz, bienvenidos a las noticias en vivo, for 11 years. 11 years creating, training, news anchors, weather anchors, because we didn't have a lot of money either, budget. So being creative and resourceful, and Tony Robbins is one of the coaches and gurus. You know about Tony Robbins? Have you heard that name? Follow him. Speaking about social media, follow that guy. Speaking about inspiration, he's amazing. He is amazing. Whenever you have opportunity to hear him, to go to one of his events, to read a book, Tony Robbins, highly recommended. He says that the issue is not lack of resources. We may not have the things to do. It's being resourceful what will save us, because we have something here and we have a group of supporters, we can figure it out. It doesn't have to be this way. We can build something different. We can make it happen. So being resourceful is going to really help us, even if we don't have the specific elements or 1, 2, 3. And that saved me, being the news director with a small budget and really creating a group of people that we knew that are part of this community in 10 counties in Tampa Bay. And I'm referring to the ones that didn't speak any English, were depending on us. As the only newscast in Spanish, that's a huge responsibility. It's not like, I'm on TV, that didn't do. That's not it. So the huge responsibility was, these people depend on us. Whether we are informing a campaign to register to vote, or these are programs for kids, for your children, or be safe because a hurricane is coming. But when you don't have those resources, let me tell you about 2004 when we had 4 hurricanes as a threat to Tampa Bay. Remember, every 2 weeks we had one. We were doing shifts for 48 to 72 hours in the news. My group was at that moment, let's say 8 people. Photographers, reporters, anchors. The whole team was 8 people. And we had to cover for 48 or 72 hours the hurricane news because the people that didn't speak English were watching us to know what was going on. So we couldn't take a break. And we were there and I was informing, reporting, this is happening at 6 hours, I'm super tired, exhausted. I'm like, okay, so now you that are the reporting, the producer, come here, sit on the desk, do your part, and I will produce for her. So we're taking turns for 3 days, sleeping 15 or 20 minutes, doing the job of the other person to cover. Can you imagine? Things like that. But that really gives you a lot of power and a lot of, you know that a lot of the things that you do in life come handy at that very moment of being very resourceful. So 11 wonderful years I learned English because I knew being in this country and understanding the system, and I just got here at that age. I had started my career. I knew for me English, and I know you are all bilingual. Well, I'm speaking English, but the question is, are you bilingual in Spanish? For me at that moment was very important to learn English because I knew that if I was going to be here, living here, it was important for me to develop that. Same thing with Spanish. If you are Latina, you have, not only if you are Latina, but if you are and if you have that option at home or with relatives, it's easier. Or if you are not, but you want to learn, I will really recommend. That's going to open a lot of opportunities. Everything in the news, and when I say everything, wearing 5 hats because a small group doing this and this and this, didn't matter. I will find the way to go to the Hillsborough Community College at 7 o'clock, right after the newscast. I talk to my teacher and I say, is it okay if I'm late every single day at 15 minutes? Because I finish the news, I record my 2 little teasers, the 2 little commercials, and then I come. So I'm not going to be able to be here at 7, but I can be here at 7:15. And she said, it's fine, you just enter, sit down at the end. And that's the way I did it, because otherwise it would have been easier for me to say, the class is at 7, I cannot make it. But that was an excuse. So 11 years of a wonderful career at Univision until one day in 2009, and that's why I went to the 10 years. I got to my office like a regular normal day, and they received me with 3 empty boxes. And they said, thank you, we don't need you anymore. We are pretty much closing down the news because this is 2009, financial crisis, economic, everything. So it wasn't me, it wasn't the station, it was really the moment in the country. That day, 7 of us were laid off, just like that. So they started doing the news from Orlando. They decided to put everything together in one place, and as a business decision, that one made more sense. a lot of lessons there. I want to touch in a couple of them. For me, thanks to the lessons at home and my mom, television was a job. Because I started my mass communications, I became a journalist, and I will tell a little bit more in a minute. But it was never a luxury, or you are on television, or you are more than anyone. It was a job, it was an opportunity. So that really was very, very important for me, because that day I had been 22 years working on television, all together. The Univision and the Colombia part. But my life didn't finish there. It could have. For some people, it was like, one day you are here, you are the face. I was recognized everywhere. Hola Pilar, I'm here. Mexican restaurant, Colombian restaurant, Walmart, Target, everywhere. Whomever spoke Spanish will say, you are the one from the news. From here to nothing, if you don't really know and you think that's what it is, it will really affect you. Didn't happen because I never lose the right side of it. So that was one that I'm like, good. I'm okay moving cables, helping, creating just relationships with everyone. The other one, that you can reinvent yourself. I didn't know what to do right that day. I cried that day. And then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? Am I going to look for a job? And I started, but I didn't find a job right away. But I knew I had my talent, my connections, my people, my support group. And I asked for help. I said, what can I do? How can I help? How can you help? Because there are some moments in life, especially when you don't see like something could be. I was like, this is it. What am I? And I didn't like sales. I'm like, I'm a reporter. I love writing, but I hate selling. And then I changed my mindset. I'm like, okay, if I focus in I hate selling, I'm going to hate selling, and I am going to be in a bad place. So I changed that for, I'm going to master sales, because he told me, you have everything to do sales, you just need to ask for the check. That's the only part that is feeling not so good. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I have the personality, I like talking to people, I want to help people. Oh, maybe I just need to be comfortable saying it's $100. And this is it. And I learned. And now I teach people to do that. Now I enjoy the process. So that was another lesson. Another lesson from that day was this one. I knew it, I did it, and it came as a lesson like 5 years later. So I left that building with my 3 boxes, an office of 11 years. I cried that day. The very next day, without a phone, without an email address, without business cards, do you think you lose everything? But no, I had my health and my spirit. I went to a networking event, then I started working in advertising, and that was it. I didn't have any bad feeling for them. I understood. I didn't do anything wrong, and they really didn't do anything wrong. The lesson I want to refer to is 5 years later, I'm talking to someone that recognized me, and this came out of this lady's mouth. She looked at me, oh yes, I remember you from Univision, and we started a conversation, and she goes, you already forgave them? And I'm like, who, what? Did you already forgive them for what they did to you? What are we talking about? Univision. And I'm like, I mean, I don't have any, I'm not holding anything against them. What do you mean forgive them? So she had worked at some point, and she still had this, they did this to me, the grudge. So the lesson came like, oh, I really have been freed of this because I didn't have anything to forgive them for. I understood what was it. And I didn't even have to forgive me because I didn't do anything wrong. But you could be like, oh, why me? Why? And it could be applied for a man, for a boy, like, why me? This happened to me. I put all my effort. I worked for 11 years. And so that, I understood right there that a lot of the other lessons had been there for me because of the way I acted, because of the way I reacted. Nothing else. And it came when this lady said, did you forgive them? I never hate them first. They are my friends and they're my clients now. As a matter of fact, 2 years after that happened, they offered me a position in Washington, D.C. to be a news director again. I said no because I already had my business. And I didn't want to become a big employee again, which is another magic of when things happen. Then I started my own company, and now I don't want to go back to television 24 hours to work those crazy shifts, and I love television. So that was kind of the end of that circle of like, we can be in a good place even when bad things happen, or when these situations happen if we keep that attitude. I learned positive attitude very early in my life from my dad. I was 14 years old and my dad was in the hospital because they found a big tumor in his knee and they were 99% of possibilities that they were going to amputate his leg. So he was in the hospital for 2 years and my parents just had been divorced. So we were living apart, we were living with my mom. My dad, he's a pilot. He's already retired, but he's a pilot from the Air Force. So we are in the hospital. My mom is taking us to see my dad, but they are not really talking. Some of you might be familiar to that type of situation. So it was tense, but we were to visit him. And even though this was the one option, my dad never stopped laughing, smiling, and seeing the positive. And the conversation was open, and like, what are we gonna do if they do this and the surgery and what happened? And he would say, don't worry beforehand. Don't worry beforehand. If that happens, we will take care. We will look for, I remember, he used to live in a 2-story house. We lived in an apartment with my mom. I said, what are you going to do with that house? And he said, we will look for a 1-story house. Don't worry beforehand. And he will keep his spirit. So that was a lesson of positive attitude that I learned very early. And I thought everyone had it. As the years passed and I started talking to more people, like, this is not everyone has it. How can I help people? And that's part of what I do right now, beyond helping people to communicate better or to speak better or to do presentations. I do more work like inside and finding that what is going to make you happy is inside. It's not in social media, it's not out there, it's not on television, it's not even in the rest of the family. It's here. And I had become a positive attitude, super fun, and I want to tell everyone how powerful it is. If you see my family of my close friends and you ask them one phrase that will identify me, it will be in Spanish. Some of you speak Spanish. Who speaks Spanish? ¿Alguien? Okay, because it sounds better in Spanish. They will identify me saying, Pilar always says, lo bueno es. The good news is, the good thing is. My brain is wired that way. Oh, this person canceled, or a flat tire, or something happens, or really, it's like, okay, you could be sad, you could be frustrated for a second. Oh, the good thing is, it was in the parking lot. Oh, the good thing I have time to call this other client. Or the good thing it was with enough time to do something else. So that is also something very nice. And then with my mom, because of what they said, don't worry beforehand, she's always very spiritual and finding that a higher power, and I don't pretend, I believe in God, but the point is not only God, it could be your higher self, your spirit, some people will say the universe, and I do say the universe. It doesn't really matter. Beyond that belief, understanding that it's something bigger than ourselves, that you can say, hey, or praying, or finding something higher than ourselves is going to help. So I learned this when I don't even remember from whom, but when you have any worry right now, any worry, something is worrying you, we all have. At some point or other, it may be a grade in school or a person that is not talking to us. So think for a moment in that one thing that is worrying you. Not enough money, some health issues, some situation at home, something that is worrying you. Think for a second. Even our heart could start racing a little bit, and it's a bad place to be. Now the exercise, we are going to do the following. Think for 1 second, for a couple of seconds, in something that happened today that you are grateful for. Small or big, someone said something, or you are here, or someone gave you a ride, or someone had a good word, you had a nice meal, or anything that you are grateful for. While we are grateful for something, we cannot worry. So the worry didn't disappear. However, if we train ourselves to be in a grateful attitude, often we worry less. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Worrying is like being on a rocking chair. It really hurts you and it doesn't take you anywhere. Because the worry doesn't change anything. It's amazing, isn't it? So, if we train ourselves to do that, we don't worry beforehand, which was what my dad and my mom were saying. We change that, we are grateful for something else, very positive, and whatever is going to happen, it will happen and we'll take care of it. But the worry, a lot of times, is what kills us. And we do this big story and big picture, and then the thing was this big, and we worry for a week. I'm like, oh, really? And the worry was this huge. So we have the power to really change the story, but the exercise I just gave you is a powerful tool that works, and it will help you every single time if we learn to do it often. If we don't use it, we forget. So it's not like we stop worrying, but we start changing the thought about worrying. Make sense?
Yeah.
Did you like it? Are you gonna use it? So after Univision and after all this, I created my own company, which excites me because I had to learn a lot about being a businesswoman and being a person that was coaching others and selling. And I've been in business for 8 years now, doing what I'm doing here for you. They pay me for that. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Yes. Training people in presentation skills, in how to do videos because of that background of television, in confidence, because we all have issues about confidence. Let me tell you one. So for me, confidence doesn't exist. It's like, I'm going to help you with confidence. And then you call me, Pilar, what happened? 1 month later, my confidence. So for me, doesn't really exist. It's not like I became a confident businesswoman and that's it. Because a lot of times people will, because you were on television. And what? Yeah, I was on television and someday I was like wagging my tears and then buenas noches, like you have to do what you have to do. But confidence for me is something that we learn to generate. We learn to build confidence along the way because very often something is gonna come and change everything. So I'm very comfortable speaking English now. I feel good. 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't think I had enough English to make presentations in English. So I was only doing my training and my coaching and everything in Spanish. But I was missing a huge opportunity in this market. So I started to believe that I could. And whether Henry Ford, right? Whether you think you can or you can't, you are right. Whether you think you can or you can't, you are right. I think it's Henry Ford. I think so. Now these days quotes belong to everyone because somebody puts there in Instagram Walt Disney or Henry Ford. But I think that one is Henry Ford. So confidence, I started to let me start in English and I'm gonna do a little here and coaching 101 and then and then I make people laugh in English. I'm like, yeah, it's working out. And I built my confidence and I started. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it. And now, as I said before, most 75-80% of my business is in English more than Spanish. But then one day when I was already feeling, okay, I got it, this is good, it's comfort zone, huh? I was like, oh, I feel good, I have the 20 people, I'm training, I coach you. They called me, I belong to the National NSA, National Association of National Speakers Association. As a speaker, I belong to that association. So I received a call 3 years ago. Hey Pilar, we would like to have you as a co-host of our podcast that goes to 4,000 members. And you will be the first Latina in hosting that podcast, Voices of Experience. And I'm like, what? And I remember could you say that again? Am I hearing correctly? And yeah, we would like for you to be the host of this podcast. Can I tell you tomorrow? I was so nervous. My confidence went down to the floor because one thing was for me to make a mistake and we laugh because I don't know how to pronounce. I have to just spell it. S-H-E-E-T. Every time I say that, I say S-H-E-E-T. So I can make you laugh here because I can make fun of me. Like one sheet. I hope I said it right. Maybe I said the other one. I don't know. But on the microphone, I'm a very good interviewer in Spanish, but I'm going to put my career and my credibility in a microphone in front of 4,000 people in English. So I hung up and I'm like, I was with a friend of mine that was working with me at the moment. And what happened, Pilar? And I explained to her, are you going to take it, right? And I'm like, I don't think so. And she looked at me and she said, what would you tell to one of your clients? I say, you are right, that they can do it, that they know what to do. You just need to prepare yourself. When you don't have all the skills, you build that confidence. So I hired myself that very day, and I realized that if I said no, I was going to regret. Because they were calling me, they were choosing me for a reason. They believed in me. And if I said no, 1 year from that moment, I was going to see somebody else doing those interviews in the middle of the hallway during the conference in Washington, D.C. And that opportunity was mine, but because of fear and lack of confidence, I was going to lose it. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. Take it. Really? I hired a coach because I wanted to make sure I was pronouncing some words, like ed at the end, things that I knew it was going to be better. I started training with the interviews in English with friends, like, can I interview you? Can we do practicing? And I followed the steps, and I did it. And I did over 100 interviews. And we did video. And guess what? 18 months of work, and now to this day today, I walk through those hallways. I open my mouth, I somebody in the escalator, you're Pilar, I know that voice, I recognize your voice. Of course, this is the one with the accent that was doing the interview, so they recognize my voice, they watch the videos, they heard the interviews, I was able to serve the community and overcame my own fear. And I have had fear a lot of times in my life. How are we doing in time? I love this. And I haven't even, we are doing okay. I want questions. When I started my career, I didn't want to work on television. Let's go back. I wanted to be a writer, a reporter. My grandfather wrote a book. My mom wrote a column in a newspaper. She didn't have any college degree or anything, but she liked to write. So she called the director one day and she said, can I write a column? And they said, we don't pay, but if you want to write it. And she said, yes, I want to write it. She was a homestay mom, but she wrote that column. She published her column in the newspaper. So I wanted to study communications, but I didn't want to work on television. So before I finished my career, I had this responsibility of looking for an internship. And I wanted the newspaper. But my teacher, the college professor, said, you should apply on television as well. Oh, why? I don't want television. It's only one newspaper, Pilar. Everyone is applying to that newspaper. While they are going to have one, maybe two people. That's it. And if it's not you, so I said, okay. So I did. Yeah, I wasn't called at the newspaper. They didn't pick me, and I got the job at the television station. It was a weekend, no payment for 6 months. It's a typewriter because I'm talking about 1989. This is how many years ago? 30 years? Almost 29 years. So it wasn't in the computer, it was with these big things. Yeah. And I started following the reporters and learning and writing and everything until one day I had the opportunity to do interviews out there and go. But the first day I did a television interview, I was super excited. I went to this car show, 5 o'clock in the morning. I wrote the story and I came back and I said, hey, I have the story here, and I recorded in the microphone and then I showed it to the news director and he said, wonderful, but this little voice, como una niña, that sounds like a little girl. Have such and such read your report. It's very well written, but you are not going to use your voice. And I'm like, okay. So they had somebody else, but I started studying more, and I'm like, the encouragement was there. I wasn't going to let someone say like, oh, okay, you don't have a voice for television. What can I do if my voice sounds like a little girl? Which was true. He was saying the truth. Oh, okay, so I can try my voice to sound like a professional. But this was all recorded until, I had the first opportunities doing some recordings. But the biggest one that I want to mention, it was in 1993, so I'm already working 3 years. And you may not know this, but these were the toughest years in Colombian history, the most violent years. Cartel, maybe you have watched some of these series, Pablo Escobar, El Patron, all these. I lived those were the type of things I covered as a news reporter. So I was there when the explosions happened. I was there doing the news, and I was 21 years old. So it was a very difficult moment. You didn't know if you were going to see your family that night. Every single day you will say goodbye and you didn't see. 1993, I'm 24 years old. I'm writing in that newsroom, in that typewriter. Maybe I used to cover interviews with entertainment people as well. So it was very soft. Besides the breaking news, I wasn't the one covering the drugs and all those. So I didn't really know a lot about that. I will cover, if something would happen, I will go and cover the breaking news. But my specialty wasn't that area. They killed Pablo Escobar, one of the most dangerous drug dealers of all times, and I'm the only one in that newsroom. And the news director comes out of her office and said, Pilar, to the airport. And I'm like, okay. So at that moment, just to paint the picture, there are no cellular phones, no 24-hour news, cable news, nothing like that, no internet. I'm not that old, but it looks like it's everything really changed 20 years ago. And it's faster and faster. In 20 years, you will be like, we used to carry these phones. In 20 years, we maybe have like something like this, and you will be saying, we used to carry this thing in our pocket. That's the way I feel saying this. But it's just to give you a point that it's changing so fast that in 5-10 years, you will be like, wow, we had these things, cables, headphones. So none of that was there. So when I said yes, I took a flight from Bogota. I'm from Bogota to Medellin, 1 hour flight where this had happened. And I'm gathering my information from the radio. No more, I cannot call anyone. And I'm putting all my thoughts together, and I know when I land in Medellin, I have a camera ready for me with the lights, and 40 million people in the country waiting for the 7 o'clock news to watch the news of the day. No, other than the radio, that was the only moment they were going to see video in that very moment. So that's the picture of how important. It's not now everyone is with the phone reporting from everywhere. No, that day they were going to be seeing me and the other time. First time ever I was gonna be live. I've never done live. And you imagine how I was feeling? I was really nervous. And I kept thinking I could have said no. But I knew that every reporter in the world would have done whatever to be there, right? And I was the one who went there. There are no coincidences, there are no accidents, there are just, hey, it just happened and you are there. So that kept me like, okay, I'm gonna do a good job, every reporter would like to be here, what's happening, I'm gonna just keep it simple. I didn't know back then all the things I know now. I didn't know Tony Robbins, and I didn't know, so you're welcome because you are knowing about Tony Robbins very, very young. So I was just doing the best with what I have in that moment. I got to Medellin and we drove to this place. Somebody picked us up. We were there, camera ready, 2 minutes, 7 o'clock, and I'm there. 3, 2, 1. María del Polar Artist reportando en vivo desde Medellín, Colombia. And I did my whole thing with what was happening. And I was really from the waist down, literally changed. From the waist up, nobody knew. And that was the beginning of a very, very successful career for about 10 years. Until I moved to the States, I started learning English, and I came here without knowing it. And then 4 or 5 months later, I got to English. But you see how things always happen, and we don't really understand. But if I wouldn't have done this one wouldn't happen. If I would have said no, this, and if I wouldn't. So just thinking that every decision really shapes our life, whether we know or not. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. And when you don't make it too, when you don't make the decision, that also happens. And now as I train very successful people to do even better, to speak, to communicate, I always say this. Building confidence and having better communication skills and being able to impact in a different way your team, your spouse, because communication works for everything. What I train the mind, I train the body, and it works at home or any other place. And think about this. It's not that everything is going to happen because we communicate better. So I can train you to ask for a better job position. I can help you and train you to ask for a raise in your salary, or to do an interview in a podcast or in the news. Then I cannot guarantee that you are going to get it. Like, oh, Pilar, you told me. No, I cannot say, hey, you are going to get your raise, your position, or this, or he's going to marry you because you speak so beautifully. I cannot do that. Right? Or your kids are going to treat you wonderfully. However, I know from experience and from real life that the feeling, not only with me, but the people I work with, is very different when we know we did our best. And that was up to me or to each of the people I help. Because if they go to that interview empowered to ask for what they deserve, instead of, I would like to have a raise, or empower because this is why I want a raise. Or you are on television, or you want to become an elected official. And you have the power to ask for what you want. Or doing that interview and like, hey, I wrote this book and I really would like to tell your audience about it. And you are empowered and you share your message with confidence. The feeling when you get out there and let's say you didn't get the raise, you didn't get that position, or this person didn't marry you. Doesn't really matter if you feel you did your best. You get out of that place, that meeting, that summit, anything that you are communicating. You get out there and you say, I did my best job in that Voices of Experience podcast. I did my best presentation in my school because I prepared. Or I did my best job interview. The result, the outcome, doesn't really affect you if you did your part. Mm-hmm. If you get the job, fantastic. But if you didn't get it, okay, I did my best. Very different than if you get out there and you say like, oh, I forgot to say that. I should have said this. I know my voice was shaking, my hands were so bad. Or I did that interview and I went blank and my mind was like, I didn't know what to say. Very different feeling. So I can guarantee to work with someone and say you are going to be confident. You have the resources, you have the power to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, so what? Next.
That's right.
But we don't lose. It's like the television. They're like, okay, this wasn't your life. You do your best every single time. I would love to hear whatever you want to share, a hobby that you have, or what do you study, or what would you like to study, or anything really. I would love to learn a little bit more about you guys before I'm going to start stalking you in Instagram. So, yeah.
Well, I like learning a lot, and I've started getting my grades better, and it's actually helped because, like, through middle school, my grades like were always bad for no reason, and I've been gifted in elementary school, I think. But like, I've forgotten how much I've liked to learn.
Okay.
But now, like, it just feels better when I put effort into it. Yeah, cause
So you are a learner, you feel good energy when you learn?
yeah, cause I just put more effort into like getting good grades, and you know, every time I get a bad grade, I'm just like, it's okay, I'll get a better grade in the next one than I always do, and it works out.
Nice, nice. That's a very nice quality. My niece is a learner too. She loves learning. Awesome. And your name, your first name?
Karina.
Karina. Thank you for sharing that, Karina, and keep learning. Nice, nice. I want to hear from everyone, so I'm not going to move from here.
Cookies, tea.
We have food, we have
Right now, I am getting my associate's degree in arts, and I want to study business marketing. So I'm going towards that because it ties in with my values and my interests. So it ties in with my career path. But I really like theater, so I'm balancing it out. I don't know if I want to do it as a second major, like a minor maybe, or like a hobby. But I like acting. And I
maybe as
discovered
a
that
career. Who knows?
I discovered that because of my teacher. He forced me into his class, basically. I didn't want to take his acting class. I wanted to take the backstage, like lighting, scenic design, and all that stuff. And he's like, well, I added you in my acting class. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I have a fear for being on stage. But during his class, we did a monologue for the casting for the play. I didn't know it was for that. So I chose a random monologue. And I was practicing and practicing and practicing. And when it came my turn to perform in front of the class, I was really nervous. But I guess I did a really good job that I got the lead role. So it was very exciting, and from then I started liking acting, and I just love it.
And you love it. And what we love, set the day. That's so true.
Yeah.
We decide if we're going to have a good day or bad day.
Yeah, and so what I started once upon a time ago, I just started.
Really? Once upon a
Oh
time.
no, like this was.
I just love the way you say like, what?
A few years ago, like I started doing like positive news. I would just ask my friends, like, hey, what's going on? What's good in your world? What was it?
New and good.
Yeah, what's your new and good? I literally just.
So you do have a blog on that? That's what you, I know.
That's what I meant by once upon a time ago. I did it, and then I stopped. And I would start a lot of great, amazing things, and then it kind of dies down. So I did that. I have a bunch of blogs, one with music, one of just, it was called Lifestyles.
Yes, thank you so much. We learned today that the universe revolves around my mama.
And I do have one more gift for two people. So I have a book for each of you that if you want I can give you an autograph. And I have actually I have one ticket for a tea party with the Hispanic Professional Women's Association. It's gonna be November 17th, Saturday, in the morning from 11 to 1. And I want for one of you to be my guest. Hispanic Professional Women's Association, we do a mentoring program. We help young Latina women that are studying, and I keep saying Latina is the mission, but it doesn't have to be. If there is someone that is not, it's okay. So the book for everyone, and I wanna take one of you as my guest to that event. So November 17th, and we can make a raffle or something, or who is available, we can make it happen. But I would love to have you because it's great. It's gonna be a tea party and it's fun and
With the hat and the whole thing.
With the old.
But I would love to hear from two more. A little bit, just, even if you say, "Hi, Pilar, that was kind of long and boring. I have plans this Friday." I will take that.
Making me late for my date.
You send me your name and you say, "I'm late for my date," and then I give you a tip. One little thing. Why not? Can I ask at least why not? And if we were if I was a little younger, it will be alright.
worse.
Look at her smile, so beautiful. What is your first name?
Rosa.
Rosa? Nice. Do you have plans for tonight? For the weekend?
Go to my best friend's house.
Huh?
Go to my best friend's house.
Going to your best friend's house? Nice. What do you do when you go there?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Sounds good to me.
And nothing like this, or nothing like this, or nothing like how? Nothing.
Netflix and chill.
So, do you like reading or a hobby or something maybe that?
I like makeup.
Makeup? One of the YouTube tutorials helped me to do makeup for my costume in Halloween. And it's so really easy, like how to do this,
Yes.
here, everything. So you do your own makeup, or you like doing makeup?
I like my own makeup.
Nice. I have to learn a little about makeup being an anchor, because when I couldn't go to the hair salon, I had to do my own makeup. So that's going to be helpful. That could be a career. Would you consider that for you
That's
to
what I
be?
want to do. I want to do hair, makeup, cosmetologist.
That's fine. That's. I can connect you with my hairstylist here. She has a salon and she loves helping people. So an internship or something in makeup or hair, I always send people there, and she loves helping them to start their own. So nice, thank you for sharing. Nice, Rosa. Say hello. So what would you enjoy doing? Something, sports, reading, acting, music, listening or playing it?
Mostly listening, but I play the piano.
But you listening to piano or you play piano?
I play piano.
You play piano? Wow. At what time? How old were you when you learned?
I think it was last year.
Wow. And it's something that you always wanted, or just happened, or you were in a place that?
I don't know, I think when I was young, my uncle had a piano. And I always stare at it and I always wanted to play the piano. So he got me one because he has like a lot of instruments. He had a keyboard and he gave it to me last year.
Wow, that's wonderful, Ariana. Very good, very good. I have a guitar in my home, but it doesn't play by itself. I have it there, and my husband goes like, ring, and I'm like, that's it. Good, good. And it's something you feel like learning more. And nice, nice. And what type of music do you like to listen?
I guess pop music.
Pop music. Thank you for sharing. Now we know you play piano. This is for you.
Thank you. Oh my God. Wow.
This is awesome.
Hold on. Who doesn't speak Spanish? It's in Spanish. I have one in English. So I can give you Spanish.
And if you want them in English, you can say
English.
English or no, Bucaro?
English.